Sir, start the class, sir.
Okay. So good evening, all the participants. I am Mohit Singh. Yesterday, we have covered the basic topics for the Java programming, like classes, objects, methods. Okay. And the various object-oriented programming concepts. So in today's session, we will cover three topics. First one is the exception handling, second is event handling, and third one is the multi-threading. Okay. We will develop some programs and I will explain you each concept in simple definition or by a simple example. Okay. So we are opening an editor which we have used yesterday. The editor is used to create or write the Java application or the Java programs. Okay, so first we will discuss about the exception handling concept. Am I audible to the audience?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So exception handling. Exception handling is a term which is used to handle the exceptions. And what are the exceptions? Then exceptions are the abnormal condition which occurred during program execution. Sometimes we call it as runtime exception or runtime error. Okay. If we are talking about the exception, then exceptions are the abnormal conditions which occur during program execution. And it is also termed as runtime error, which occur during the runtime. Okay, if we are talking about the program, do not use this kind of drawings. So here is the runtime error. I am showing you an example. If you have a code something like this, integer a is equal to 10 divided by 0, then what will be the output? The output will be the value infinite, but the computer doesn't understand the infinite. Okay, so syntactically it is a correct statement, but when the statement goes to the runtime, then it will occur an exception. Okay, because the computer can't understand the value of infinite. Okay, let us take an example where I am creating a class hello, and inside the class we have a method disk, and inside disk we are just creating or writing the same statement, integer a is equal to 10 divided by 0. When we go to compile to call the method is the instance method, as we have discussed in the previous class. So instance method is always get called by the object. Okay, and here we use the nameless approach. Second day dot Java. Just open the CMD and write the Java C. and we are getting the Java C is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file. The command prompt is visible to the participants.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, good. So first we need to set the path, because Java C is not recognized as an internal or external command by the command prompt. So first we need to set the path, and by setting the path, the command prompt will recognize the Java commands. Okay, set path equal to C program file Java JDK and pin. It is a path where our JDK has been installed. Okay, and if we write the Java C, okay, sorry, there is a little bit mistake. Now we use the Java C and we are getting this. Now move to the E directory and Java programs, and to compile we use the Java C and second day.java. The program get compiled, okay, but if we run the program Java hello, then we are getting the exception. Exception in thread main java.lang.arithmetic exception by the. Okay, so at line 5, we are getting the error, as you can see at line 5. Okay, and at line 9 the error is showing because the method is calling by the main method. Here at line 9 we are calling the method this inside the main method, so we are getting the runtime exception at 2 places. First one is the line 5 and at line 9. As you can see at hello disp second day.java line 5 and at hello.main second day.java at line 9. So what we do to prevent the raised exception or to handle the occurred exception inside the program, the concept of exception handling is used. Now understand my point? Why we use exception handling? To handle the occurred exception inside the program. We use the exception handling concept. And what are the exceptions? Exceptions are the abnormal conditions which occur during program execution. These are also known as the runtime errors. Okay. So to handle the exceptions in Java or Android, following concepts are used. First one is the try catch. Finally statements. Second one is the throw statements. And last one is the throw the statements. Okay. So I will tell you each thing. In short, what are the try statements? Try statements or the try block. The try block contains the set of statements under which an exception Okay. So we always write the statements under which an exception may occur inside the try block. What about the catch block statements? Used to write the code which get executed when an exception is occurred inside the try block. Okay, and one more thing about the try block is that when an exception is occurred, then the try block throws the exception to the nearest catch block. Okay. One more thing, a try block can have multiple catch blocks. A try block can have multiple catch blocks. It means a try block contains statements which raised multiple exceptions. Okay. And what about the catch block? Catch block is used to write the code which gets executed when an exception is occurred inside the try block. I have used a term nearest catch block. And what is it? If we are talking about the nearest catch block, then the nearest catch block contains the statements, or the nearest catch block is the catch block which contains the definition of the exception thrown by the try block. It is just the theory. Okay, I will explain you the concept of the try and catch blocks by program. Okay, so inside the method there is a statement which generates an exception. Okay, so I will use the try block to write this kind of statement. Okay, and after that we use the catch which contains the type of exception which is thrown by this particular statement. Okay, and what was the exception? Java.lang.arithmetic exception. Okay, so we just use the following exception, java.lang.arithmetic exception, or we have assigned a reference AE, and we just write java.lang.arithmetic exception is the exception which is raised or occurred by this statement, and When we handle the exception by using the catch block, we are just putting a statement system.out.println and infinite is not understandable by the computer. Okay, this is a statement which I want to print. Okay, so just compile the program, and when we run it, then we are getting the infinite is not understandable by the computer. So that's why we use the catch block. Okay, if we have a statement like this inside the main method system.out.println, or something like hello participants, then the statement is perfectly fine, and there is no any chance that an exception can be raised with this statement at runtime. Okay, so we just put it outside the try block. Okay, we only write the statements which may occur an exception during the runtime inside the try block. Okay, and catch contains the statement which get executed when an exception is raised. Okay, so if we just write or using the following code snippet or statements, and we will get this type of output: hello participants, infinite is not understandable by the computer. Okay, suppose we have another type of array. We are using the concept of array 10, 34, 56, and 74. Here we have an array. Okay, and if we want to print, a particular element at index 3 inside the array, then what we write? We write the statement, and when we compile the statement, then we are getting the value 74, which are present at index 3 inside the array. Okay, but if we want to print the element at index 4 inside the array, then the program will get compiled perfectly, and when we want to run the program, then we will get exception in thread main java.lang.array index out of bounds exception. Okay, so this is another type of exception. Okay, so we will write this code inside the try block. Okay, because this statement can generate or can raise an exception, okay, which occurred during compile time or runtime. Catch java.lang. What was that? Array index out of bounds exception. Okay, java.lang.array index out of bounds exception. Or write it array index. Yeah. So just use the statement, and when you want to print it, an infinite, or we can say that array element is out of bounds. Okay, array indexes out of bounds. So what will happen if we compile the program get compiled perfectly fine, and when we run it, and then we will get infinite is not understandable by the computer, because first statement is this. Okay, and if we have this type of statement, then the statement will throw an exception. If the interpreter will not execute this statement, because the statement or the pointer is already thrown by this statement, and this type of catch block or the nearest catch block will get executed. Because why it is the nearest catch block? Because it contains the definition of the type of exception which is thrown by this statement. Okay, and if we will have this type of statement, then we will get a value 5 which is understandable by the computer. Then the statement will execute it completely fine, and when the interpreter executes this statement, then it will throw an exception of type array index out of bounds, and in that case this catch statement would be the nearest catch block. Okay, so what we will get, array index element is out of bounds. So I hope you have understand the concept of try and catch block. So if we use if we discuss about the next block, which is the finally block, then finally block contains the statements which get executed whether an exception is raised or not. Okay, it means finally block always get executed whether an exception is raised or not. Okay, why? So why we use finally? Finally is used to clear the data or save the states or information. Okay, because during try block or during catch block, we always perform some processing, or we always perform some operations over our data. Okay, so when the method get executed, so we need to save the states or the information, or if we want to save the memory, then we will have to perform the wiping out or the clearance of the data. Okay, how we use finally? Suppose this was a statement, we are using a single statement, okay, which occurred the array index out of bounds exception. And if we will have a finally block, we use the statement like this, always executed. Okay, and if we will compile the program, then the program will get compiled perfectly fine, and when we run it, then we get array index element is out of bounds, and secondly we will get always executed. This is the statement which gets printed by the finally block. Okay, and if we will have a statement like this, system.out.println arr3, and if we want to print the element at index 3, then it is a completely valid statement, and we will have an output like this, 74 and always executed. So as you can see here that before, or we can say that the finally blocks or get executed in both the cases. In first case, when we get an exception, and in second case, when we didn't get any exception. Okay. So here are the concepts of try, catch, and finally blocks. Now come to the fourth thing, which is the throw statement. So throw statements are used to create to forcefully throw an exception. Why we use throw statement? Throw statement is used to forcefully throw an exception. Okay. Suppose if you have an exception like throw new arithmetic exception. Okay. If you have a statement like this, then with the help of throw, we just create an exception and just throw it. Okay. So here we write java.lang is the default package. So it is not mandatory to write the whole thing. It will be fine. Okay. And the exception is thrown by using the throw statement. Okay. You can use finally if you want to use, but I'm just removing it, and there is no need to use the array. That's why I am also erasing the statements. And then if we compile the program, then the program get compiled perfectly fine. And if we are executing the class, then we are getting the exception is thrown by using the throw statement. Okay. Is it good? Am I audible to the audience?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. So here are the statement. You can also create your own exception. If you want to create your exception, then you can use the my exception. You can create a class by any name, and the class will have to inherit the functionality of any exception class. Okay, I am using the parent class of all the exception class, which is exception. Okay, in that case, if you want to throw this particular exception, throw new my exception, and it is also valid. Okay, in that case, you are throwing an exception. And if you just want to print the reference or the variable, which is AI, and the class will have a public string system.out.println. Look, Java is a very powerful and very popular programming language, and there are huge statements and huge concepts. There are many concepts which you need to learn, but our objective is to cover only those concepts or those things which are required to understand the development era or the environment of Android. Okay, so user defined exception. Okay, if we will have a code like this, then when we compile it, oh sorry, there is a little bit mistake inside the section, and code is perfectly fine. to string. No. There is no any missing return
This is the
statement.
program with hello, sir. Hello.java.
Sorry, there was a little bit mistake. So new my exception. The exception should be caught by the nearest catch block, and the catch block contains which type of exception? Arithmetic exception. So we use the my exception. Okay. The program gets compiled perfectly fine, and we will have the user defined exception. Okay. You can create your own method inside this. Okay. So just remove it, and at last we will have a throws statement. Okay. So throws statement is used to define the type of statement a method or constructor throws. Okay. Where we use throws, we always use throws with the method or the constructor. Okay. If they will throw any type of exception. How to write the code? Suppose if the disk method throws an exception like arithmetic exception. Okay, and the disk contains statement like inside disk method integer a is equal to the same statement and divided by 0. So here inside the decimal method there is a statement which will throw an exception during the runtime. Okay, so with throws we are declaring that the method may occur an exception, and when the exception will get occurred, then the with the help of throws the exception would be throw. Okay, and where we are calling the state the method here. So at this place we will get the exception. Okay, we will get the exception, and by this try, because try is used to write the statement under which an exception occurred. Question A. Close example. So if we compile the program, then the program will get compiled perfectly fine. And if we run it, then we will get inside this method and throws example. Okay, sorry, throws example. Okay. And if we have a constructor like this, hello, throws array index of counts exception. Here are 5. Then the constructor is get called by the statement here, and the statement again throw an exception which is of type array index out of bounds. We can use the same reference, okay? There is no problem because the reference would be treated as the local reference, okay? Close example again with constructor, okay? So if we run it, then we can see that the first the constructor get called, and if the constructor have the exception, then the nearest catch block for the statement get called. And if the constructor will not throw any exception, then with the disk method, the exception would be thrown. Okay. In this case, the constructor throws an exception. Throws example again. Okay. Because the exception is thrown by the constructor. And if the constructor will not throw any exception, then inside this when throws example. This is a statement which gets executed with by the exception which is thrown by the disk method. Okay, so these are the points of exception handling. I've just covered the basic concept or basic things to explain you the concept of exception handling. Okay, and exception handling is very important if you need to develop any Android application. Okay. And now we have another concept which is known as the event handling. Event handling.
Multi-threading.
It is the another concept. Okay. So what is the definition of an event? So if we define the term event, then an event is something like change the status of the component. Okay. An event is something like change the status of an component. Okay. So if we are talking about the particular window, then you can see here is the file menu, and we have an editor. We have some folders. Okay, we have some icons. So these all are the components. This component we can say that is the editor or the text box. Okay, the component is the menu bar. Okay, and here the menus, and these are the menu items. So these all are the components, and when the status of the component is changed, then an event is occurred. Okay, if we are writing inside an editor, then it is also an example of change the status of the component. Okay, because an editor is also a type of the component. And when an event is occurred, or when we perform some operations, then it is known as an event. And if we are performing some operations, then we need to handle the event. So to handle the event or perform some operations during the status changing of a component. event handling is used. Okay. And for event handling, we use the concept of listeners and handlers. Okay. To perform event handling, we use the concept of listeners and handlers. Okay. In Java or Android, if we are talking about the listener, then these are the interfaces. And if we are talking about the handlers, then these are the abstract methods of that particular okay. What are the listener? Listener are the interfaces. The topic of the interface is covered in the yesterday's class. Okay, and the topic of the abstract method is also get covered. So as I told you in the previous class or the previous session, that an interface contains two things. First one is a public static final variable and second one is the abstract method. Okay. So in case of event handling, the listeners are the interfaces and handlers are the abstract methods. Okay. And there are some steps to perform event handling. What are the steps? First, the listener. First, the listener get registered with the component. Okay, first the listeners get registered with the component. Okay, registered, or we can say that, or add with the component. Then when any change status or state happened, then the specific registered listener get called. Okay. Listener get called, or specific registered listener listen the event. Okay, and then the listener all the specific handler to perform or handle the event. Okay. So if we have a program, I'm showing you the concept of
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
I am Subramanyam, sir. I have a doubt
Yes.
regarding with the second program, sir. Second session program. Actually, we have written previously, sir. In the statement, a new hello dot display. I think so. Up to my knowledge.
Okay.
Sir, may I know how it works, sir?
It will work that first we use or first we create the object by using new hello, and when the object will get created, then the object will call the method. So new hello in this statement returns an object, and the object will call the disk method. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, we have not written hello that object, sir. We not created a object, right, sir?
Actually, there are two approaches of object creation. First one is the nameless approach, and second one is a named approach. So
Okay,
I
sir.
think you are a beginner. That's why you are using the named approach. Hello h is equal to new hello, and then you use h dot disk. Is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. But during development, we always use shorthands for programming. Okay. So don't need to write a large amount of code if you just want to use or execute the statement. Okay. So don't need to write 2 lines.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The steps to perform event handling, and if we have a class my frame, and the we are importing import java x dot string string is outdated, but to make you understand the concept of event handling, I am using the swing package. Mf is equal to new okay, and the frame class extends the jframe. Set visible to set size 300 into 500. Okay. So when we run it, sorry, our Java class is my frame. So here you are getting a window. Okay. It is also a component, and if you have a button, a program get compiled, and if you run it, then you are getting a button. The button is visible to the participants, is it?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Here we use set layout. I have just created a layout for the frame. Sorry. Kindly mute the mic. Okay. The button is present, and if we have two text field, J text. Okay. Compile. Now you are getting the two text fields. So here we have three components or four components. First one is the window, second one is the button, third one is the this text field, and fourth one is the this text field. Okay. And if we want to add or perform the event handling concept over this button, then we have to first register the listener with this button. Okay. So in Java, we have a listener. JB dot add action listener.
We don't
Hello.
at the end of line 19, 1919.
Sorry,
For the
your
method.
voice is not audible.
We don't need to close the path. At the end of line 19, we don't need to close the parenthesis.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
We need to override the methods of action listener.
I know it, dear.
No, you didn't
Actually,
close the parenthesis. In line 20, you didn't close the parenthesis.
for that, I am teaching you Java and I'm using the method of Android.
In line 20, it will close the parenthesis.
There is a little bit confusion, that's why I have used the statement. Okay, my button. When you click on the button, then you are getting the button clicked. Okay. The event handling is performed.
Yes, sir.
Actually, the problem was that I was using the concept of Android, because in Android we have a method to register the listener, the set action listener. Okay, and on that case we have a method or the handler public void on click. Okay, I forgot that in Java we have a method action performed and the type of the listener is action listener. So here by this example you can understand the concept of event handling and how we register our listener with the particular component and how we implement the functionality.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay, if you don't need to write this code then you can simply use, this is the concept of anonymous class, and if you use the concept of this and here you can public void action perform. Again click. Wait a minute.
That is
I want to tell you the best way. That's why I'm thinking about this.
okay.
Action listeners. I forgot to implement the functionality. Okay. Again. Listen, students or the participants. Sometimes we get errors or inside our code. and we sometimes we are unable to find the error inside our written code. Okay, so don't get panic. Just view the code or check the code many times until the error will get solved. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so as you have seen, there was a little requirements of that particular code. Okay, only you need to understand the concept. If your concept is completely correct, then you will definitely resolve your error. Okay, and don't get panic during programming. Programming is very easy. Only you need to understand the concept. If you will understand the concept, then you will write any program. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So here is the
Multi-threading.
your voice is not audible. I am coming to the next topic.
Multi-threading, sir.
Yeah, I know multi-threading.
Sir, small doubt, please.
Doubt will be cleared after the session. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
multi-threading. Multi-threading when a process contains multiple threads. Then the concept is known as what? Multi-threading. Okay. And what is the definition of a thread? So a thread is the smallest unit of program execution. Okay. As if you have read the subject object operating system, then you learn the concept of process synchronization, process execution, and also the deadlock and the threading concept. Okay, so the process gets executed by the CPU or the processor. Okay, and a process contains multiple threads. Okay, because a process performs multiple operations. As here is a process, the editor which we are using, which is edit plus, and the edit plus is performing many operations. Okay, so multiple threads are running inside the edit plus. If we take another example of Microsoft Word, so when we typing, then the word processor will show some errors on the misspelled words. So this is also an example of multi-threading, because in word processor, when we type or when we perform the typing, then the two different threads are running. Okay, first one is for typing and second one is for correcting or checking the spellings. Okay, and if we are talking about another example, so another example is the car racing game. When you see there are multiple cars, and each car is like a thread. Okay, inside a process, threads are always independent. Okay, inside a process, threads are always independent. You can't control the threads. Okay, you can apply some operations over the threads, but you can't control the threads inside a process. Okay, for that you need to perform the synchronization process. You need to use some interruption operations like interrupt, join, sleep, wait, and all. Okay, if a process contains only one thread, then the process known as single threaded. And if a process contains multiple threads, then the process is known as multi-threaded process. In Java or Android, threading concept is implemented by thread class or runnable interface. Okay. In threading concept, in Java or Android, threading concept is implemented by thread class or runnable interface. If you can see, Java p Java dot lang dot thread. So here you are getting the definition of the thread class, and here you can see the declaration public class java.lang.thread, and this class implements the java.lang.runnable interface. One thing I also want to tell you that the runnable interface is a functional interface. Okay, the functional interfaces are the interfaces which contains only one method. Okay, lang.runnable. As you can see, public interface java.lang.runnable, which is implemented by the thread class. Okay, and it contains only one method, which is what? Public abstract void run. Okay, the run method is also present inside the thread class. Public void run. So we can say that the run method of the thread class overrides the run method of the runnable interface. Okay, so you can write a program like this. You can remove it. So we have a class thread example. Okay, and if we want to create a thread, then we just use the thread class thread t is equal to new and t dot start. Start is a method of the thread class, and the this start method automatically calls the run method. Okay, in that case we have created an object of the thread class, and with the object or the reference variable we have called the start method. So when we call it, or when we compile the program Java thread example, then we will get nothing. Okay, because in that case the thread class object get created, and that object called the start method. But if we want to achieve or creating the thread, then we will have to extend or use the functionality of the thread class. Now in that case, if we are using this, and we have public void run. In that case, this run method overrides the run method of the thread class. Okay. System.out.println thread. Okay, thread created. If we directly call the run method, then it will not be the concept of threading. The run method get called normally. Okay, you will get the same output. Suppose if you use this, then you will have the same output. Oh, sorry. We need to compile and then run thread create. But if you use the syntax like thread dot get current thread dot get name, then in this case you will get the main thread. But, we want to see that sorry. Java thread. What you are getting? Main. Because in that case, the run method is directly called by the object of the thread.ex class, but it is not the concept of multi-threading. But if we invoke the start method, which automatically calls the run method, then only the concept of threading will get implemented. Okay, we saved it, and when we compiled it, run it, then we get the thread 0. Okay. Look, guys, the first thread or the primary thread which get executed is always the main thread. Okay, that's why we get the main in previous. Okay, and if we want to rename it, t dot name, t dot set name, my thread. Now what we are getting? My thread. Okay, so this is an example how we have created the thread. We can also create the thread by using the runnable class. So if your class in implements the runnable, and if you are creating this type of array or this type of object, and One thing. Before going this, I want to tell you that if you are creating something like this, then that. If we are creating in loop, either I is equal to 0 and I is less than 5 and I plus. Okay, then you will get the following statement. Suppose you have two threads, T1 and T2. Okay, in that case, in the previous program, we have created only a single thread. So when we run the program, then the program for the example of a single threading. But here we have two threads. So we are implementing the concept of multi-threading, and when we compile it, okay. Thread 1, thread 0. As I told you that the nature of threads are not similar. They are always independent. So it is not guaranteed that we always get the same output. Okay. First you get a thread 111, then thread 00. So you again run it, again run it, again run it, again run it. Computer is fast, so I'm not here. This is what I want to show you. Thread 0, then thread 1, then again thread 0, then thread 1. So the threads are independent in nature. That's why we get this type of output. And if you want to perform the sleep operation, then thread dot sleep. I want to sleep the thread for 500 milliseconds. Okay, and this is a checked exception. So we need to use the try catch statements. Java.io. Okay, so here we use the concept of sleep. We will use the concept for making the splash screen inside when we started developing our Android application. Okay, so from tomorrow onwards, we will start working with Android. Okay, so for you need to install the Android Studio and have the support of Android SDK and Android AVD. Now the house is open for the questions. If you have any query, then you can ask. Hello.
Sir,
Yes.
can you please open the program, sir? Sir, here we have public static void main in line number 17, sir.
Yeah.
String, actually we write commonly we write a string args, sir.
Yes.
Sir, here you have written srgs. Can you please?
No, it is not mandatory to write ARGS. ARGS is just a variable. Okay. You can also write your name. What is your name?
My name is Subramaniam, sir.
Subramaniam. Pardon me if it is incorrect. Okay.
Subramaniam, sir. YAM, sir.
Subramaniam.
YAM, sir.
YA.
YAM, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you use this, then what that? It is also possible. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. In Java itself, sir. In Android also, sir.
Android don't have main method.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello. So
Hello.
how was the session? Did you learn something?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Very good session, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir, do we
Uh,
need to learn anything about Android Studio before starting tomorrow's session? That means basics of how to operate
Actually,
like.
the time is very limited. That's why I can't tell you all the things about the Android Studio. Because
Okay.
from tomorrow onwards, we will work on the designing phase, on the layouts,
Okay.
how we can create the layouts. Okay. So
Okay.
the workshop is just for making the awareness about the Android tools and techniques. Okay, so you can learn it, and if you will have any questions or queries, then you can connect with me.
Sir, can you provide any documentations regarding with Android Studio, sir?
I will provide you the installation guide by tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, sir.
First, do it by yourself. Try it by yourself, and if you will have any error, then just remove all the things and will go through with my video, which I will provide to you by tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So we have to install only Android Studio, sir, or anything else.
For installing Android Studio, first you need to install or you need to have the Java support. Okay. Don't go through with the OpenJDK libraries. Just install the Java version. Java 1.8 is perfectly fine nowadays. Okay. And if you want to support or get support of Java 9, then it will also fine. But as for my advice, before installing Android Studio, just install JDK. First install JDK on your local computer, then install the Android Studio. And the minimum requirement to install the Android Studio is you must have i3 processor with at least 4 GB of RAM. And the recommended RAM is 8 GB. Okay.
Sir, I installed JDK, latest JDK versions.
Install JDK version, but the JDK version is not stable. Nowadays, companies are using Java JDK 8 and JDK 9. There are very instability in the Java versions. I think the Java 17 is available in the market.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think
So,
I installed 16, sir.
no, don't go with the updated JDK. You will learn nothing. This will create many problems with you. For a beginner, only go through with the JDK 1.8. JDK 1.8 is a very good version.
Okay, sir.
Sir, may I know the why Swing is outdated?
Why?
Swing concept is outdated.
Because in present scenario, people are not using the desktop applications. Are you using the desktop applications
No, sir.
mostly?
No, sir.
You are using the web application and the mobile applications, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's the reason. Java Swing and Java AWT is outdated since 2015.
Okay.
Java is a very powerful language,
Okay,
and
sir.
presently we are using Java to perform the business operations, business logic, and to maintain the backend and to develop the RESTful APIs. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Still any questions?
So how was the session, participants? If you submit your submissions or the feedback with me, then it will be something like motivation to me.
Sir, please provide the link of installation and ADB linking.
Sorry.
Can you please provide the link for the Android Studio installation and ADB devices connection
Okay, wait.
for tomorrow
I will
purpose?
tell you. Okay, I will tell you. My screen is visible to you, all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so just use Google, and in Google just download Android Studio. Okay, and here you are getting the download Android Studio and SDK tools. Download Android Studio. Okay. You can take help from YouTube also. And look, guys, you need to have a connection with at least 5 to 6 GB of data, because it will take 5 to 6 GB to install the data. Okay. Android Studio installation. When you search it, it's my advice to go through with the latest update. Okay. And here this video is uploaded 3 months ago. Okay, so how to download and install the Android Studio, it will tell you.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. After some time you would be a developer. Okay, so try to use Google and YouTube as much as possible.
Okay, sir.
Sir, can we have previous sessions link, sir? Recorded
Sir,
link.
can you share the previous session and this session recorded?
For that you need to contact with the organizing committee and the respective hosts.
Tomorrow we will try to share it, sir. Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you, sir.
students, if you want to get connected with me over LinkedIn, then here is the link. You can connect with me, and we will definitely have a good conversation, and I will definitely help you in your career if you are serious about your career and learning. Okay. Okay, thank you, students. So, sir, should I leave? Hello?
Hello. Sir, tell me, sir.
Yes, sir. So, should I leave?
Yes, sir. Still anybody have any questions? Or else shall I close the session?
And thank you, Rajan sir, for your kind cooperation and the management.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, shall I disconnect the meeting, sir? Sir,
Sure, because there is no query from the student side.
yes, yes, sir. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock will be good.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
welcome.
Thank you, sir.